We've been doing different things with this, and we've been going back and looking at emails that people have sent in, plus just questions that people have asked in different classes, and kind of keeping count of what people are asking about so that we can tackle some of the things that you guys are directly interested in. And so, the last few weeks we've been doing things with the neck and back and shoulders, and not really so much the pain class, but we were starting to dabble in that somewhat. We'll go more into that at some point, but with everything that we're looking at, one of the things that we want to go through and tackle is autoimmune issues. So an autoimmune issue could be any number of issues. There's thyroid issues that can be autoimmune. There's things like lupus. Sometimes what people are calling Lyme disease is actually can be an autoimmune disorder. The issue being with like Lyme disease, for example, is there's a bunch of conditions that get diagnosed as Lyme disease. And so sometimes when somebody gets diagnosed as Lyme, they have just a lot of indicators that say that they have Lyme. Chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia used to be a lot more like that. It's getting more clearly defined over a period of time, but autoimmune issues can be any number of things. It's not just one particular condition. And so basically what does an autoimmune disorder, what does that mean? And so it just basically means that the immune system becomes so over agitated, it gets so overstimulated. Another way of saying that is it becomes actually hyper vigilant, like it's waiting for the next outside invader to come, right? That's what the immune system deals with is viruses, bacteria, fungi, things like this. And so it gets so overstimulated that it starts to turn on the body and sees the body as an outside invader. Now, over the years, what started to happen is people started having some of the autoimmune type issues, but they weren't necessarily testing positive right off the bat for the having an autoimmune disorder. But what would happen is they were starting to show symptoms, and then 6 months to a year later, they would actually then start to show positive. And so a lot of times what's happening is it is just levels of stress, levels of fatigue sometimes, levels of trauma. All kinds of things can stimulate an autoimmune response. And so autoimmune issues are becoming more and more common, and even sometimes the dry eye issue, that can actually also be autoimmune. One of the things that you have to take into account too is your spinal health. Like if the bones move side to side, that causes a pretty big compromise in the immune system and the immune response. But if a vertebrae slides forward within a short amount of time, like usually within a couple of weeks, you'll start testing positive for an autoimmune issue. It actually is considered an autoimmune disorder. And so sometimes it could actually even be spinal misalignments that can cause this. So it actually eventually turns into something very serious. And what happens is that you start taking oils or herbs or something that would actually strengthen the immune system, but you're strengthening the response for the immune system to attack the body. And so what happens sometimes is somebody will take like echinacea, for example. They'll take a bunch of echinacea and they end up feeling significantly worse afterwards because they've strengthened that attack on the body, right? So you have to be a little bit more careful with people who have autoimmune issues. Now, one of the big things that you go through and try to treat is you try to help them to regulate their sleep, especially the aspect that's tied to the anabolic state. But one of the things that you try to do is you try to reset the gland behind the breastbone called the thymus. And the thymus helps to regulate the immune system's response towards the body. And so when it's really hypervigilant, it actually starts to attack the body. When it's regulated, it stops the immune system from attacking the body and helps it to function more appropriately. So we want to look at these different aspects that can address the autoimmune issue with not being super symptom specific. These are things that you would do for anything that was an autoimmune disorder, anything, right? So with that, we can now, like when we have the foundation of the classes the way we are, we can go through and pick out pieces from different classes and use them as building blocks as a protocol for different conditions, right? A lot of what we have used in the past is something that came out of treating a particular condition. And so with that, we are going to go through and we're going to start with the mugwort technique that's in actually several classes. It will also be one of the things that we talk about in a little bit more in depth in the Aromatherapy for Healers Teachers Conference towards the end of November. This is something that can be utilized for so many different things. Here we're going to use it for resetting the immune system. Now, this is used in Chinese medicine, this idea of going through and treating the joints, treating the navel, and then the navel minor, which is 1.5 inches below the navel, with mugwort, has a very long tradition in Chinese medicine. And so with that, anytime you go through and you do this protocol, even if you're doing it for different reasons, you are resetting the immune system. Now, one of the things that happens is our immune system has a big impact on our mood, right? On our mood. So if we're down in the dumps a lot, if we have issues related to mood, you know, mood not necessarily meaning content, but just your ability to be happy, or you're just down in the dumps or sad, or, you know, whatever it is, it's tied actually partially to your immune system. And so we want to be able to go through and reboot that. Now, when people are being negative towards you, or when we would use any sort of term of psychic attack, part of what's happening is your immune system is becoming hypervigilant to a certain degree. Doesn't mean that you'll develop a autoimmune disorder, but it starts to take you down that path somewhat. You know, your immune system gets more and more agitated. It tends to make the personality a little bit more aggressive. When you regulate the immune system, the aggression tends to calm down somewhat. So you can see a direct correlation between aggression and immune response. You know, it's the point man for anything that's coming at the body. Right? So with that, if you have mugwort or artemisia, I mean, by far, these are your best bets there. If somebody doesn't have that, let us know. Charcoal root cleanser could be a good second choice, but really we prefer that you use mugwort or artemisia for this. How are we doing with that?
Is Mugwort Supreme better than Mugwort?
It's a little bit stronger, yeah. If you have Mugwort Supreme, good for you.
I think we're good.
Okay, we're good. So we're going to do two things. We're going to do a direct application, and we're also going to do an inhalation. So the direct application is going to be on the joints of your arms and your legs. So the palm, the wrist, the elbow where it creases, and somewhere on the armpit area, right? So palm, wrist, elbow, armpit, and then your hip, like where the dimple of your butt cheek is, your knee, behind the knee on that little crease, and then the ankle, the front of the ankle, and then the soles of your feet. Okay, so you're covering your arms and your legs. And then from there, you're going to put some on your belly button and 1.5 inches below your belly button. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute or two to do that. This is one of those times where it's good that you're in the privacy of your own house and you can just go through and do this real quick. Neither do I. You want to run and go get them?
No. Thanks.
Oh, I might have some in here. Let me see. Okay, ready? So you're going to begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the soles of your feet. Keep inhaling with your awareness on the soles of your feet. Now go to your ankles, just the front of your ankles. Then your knees, do the crease of the knee on the front and then below the kneecap, the crease of the knee on the back and below the kneecap on the front. Then go to your hips, the sides of your hips where the dimple and the butt cheek is. Now go to the palms of your hands. your wrists, your elbows, where the crease is on the front. Your armpits, down to your navel, an inch and a half below your navel. Just be still, be aware, keep your eyes closed. Just be still. Again, do the soles of your feet. We're going to cycle through it again. Move to your ankles. Move to the knees. Move to the hips. Keep your awareness on the hips. Move it to the palms of your hands. Move it to the wrist. Move it to the elbows. Okay, move it for a second. So your awareness is on the elbows. Move it to the armpits. Move your awareness now to the navel. And the navel minor, which is 1.5 inches below your navel. I'll do it. Just be still. Just be still, be aware, just let go. Now, you usually feel a little bit more uplifted, you feel a little bit happier, your immune system is starting to shift. So I've actually used this particular protocol even for treating psychological issues where mood is an issue. You know, some forms of depression, when people have mood disturbances, they just feel down in the dumps. If you think about it, after you've been sick and your body is in the process of recovering, you might not have the virus or the bacteria anymore, but you feel very like kind of down or melancholy. This is tied to your immune function. And so immunity and your psyche kind of are intertwined somewhat. You wouldn't think of it like that, but it is. So this next piece, we want to actually, we're not trying to strengthen the thymus, we're actually trying to re-educate the thymus. So there's not a lot of variation of choices of oils here, right? One of the oils that works the best is kind of fancy, it's Melissa. But any of the chamomiles, Roman chamomile, German chamomile, Cape chamomile, all the different chamomiles actually will work. The other thing that works is Neoli. It was in one of your guys' kits quite a while back. It's in the Maluka family, which means it's in the tea tree family. It actually works for this kind of issue. Now, Neoli is also good to use for allergies. Another choice is Palo Santo. You know, Palo Santo, just the good old-fashioned holy wood. Another one that is something that you guys probably do not have is Anula. It's used for treating respiratory issues. It's one of the strongest mucolytics in the essential oil world. So basically, it breaks down mucus better than anything else. It's a little bit hard to get and a little bit expensive. So that's why a lot of times I don't even put it on the price list. I have it, it's just not on the price list. So choose one of those. One of the chamomiles, Neoli, Palo Santo is probably something that you would have. Melissa, if you have it. I haven't tested the poplar balsam on this yet, but I think that the poplar balsam would also work. This set of steps is actually very short, but we'll do several cycles of it. Everybody good as far as having something? Okay, so you're going to begin inhaling and your awareness is on your front heart. The heart chakra is associated with the thymus gland, so we're just working the front and the back heart.
And he didn't mention any blends, just stick with what he said.
Yeah, there's not a blend that works good for this. So I would stick to the single oils, yeah.
If you don't have any that he mentioned, just let me know.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll have anything to substitute because we're doing something very specific here. It's not just energy. We're wanting to re-educate that. If you don't have an oil for this one, just sit and keep your awareness on your heart and do the breathing exercise without the oil. We don't want to do the opposite where you strengthen the immune system without re-educating the thymus because it would have adverse effects. So
Neoli is different than Neroli.
yeah, it's Neoli. Yeah.
N-A-I, right? Or do they spell it?
Niaouli.
I spelled it wrong. N-I-A.
Yeah. Sometimes they call it MQV. Like another company might call it MQV. Okay, your awareness is still on your front heart.
Yeah, Melissa is, you said Maluka. No, not Maluka.
No, it needs to be Neoli.
Thank you for spelling that right.
Yeah. Now move your awareness to the back heart. Keep inhaling. The other one that does this, but it doesn't do it through inhalation for some reason. It only does it when you take it internal, is Moroccan time. You would have to take it internally though. It doesn't do it through the inhalation for some reason.
1 or 2 drops in water.
Yeah, 1 to 2 drops in water. Okay, just be still. Again, begin inhaling. Your awareness is on your front part. Keep your awareness on your back heart. Keep inhaling. Okay, just be still, be aware, just let it go for a second. Again, begin inhaling. Your awareness is on your front heart. Move your awareness to the back part. Just be still. Just let everything go for a moment. Again, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on your front heart. Move your awareness to the back heart. Just be still, be aware, just let everything go. Just be still. Begin inhaling. Your awareness is on your front heart. Long, slow, deep breaths. Put your awareness on the back heart. Just be still. Put your awareness on the back heart. Okay, just be still, be aware. Okay, we're going to move on to the next portion. So let me give you some choices of oils. Palo Santo, poplar balsam if you have it, that's fancy. Basil, petitgrain, neroli, that's orange blossom, so neroli, lovage, or the blend Spasmophilia. So again, Palo Santo, poplar, basil, petitgrain, lovage, neroli, or Spasmophilia. Let me know if you don't have one of those.
Is one better than others?
Spasmophilia and poplar balsam are probably the top two. Basil is pretty close. Lovage is actually pretty high up, but they're all good. You know, they all work. Okay, are we good?
Mhm.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we're always somaticizing energy, right? We're always somaticizing, be it good or bad, right? But whenever we hear the idea of psychosomatic, we think of it as a negative thing. Psychosomatic could also be physicalizing soul energy, right? What happens with autoimmune is sometimes something so negative has happened is it continues to physicalize into the body, right? So it could be negative thinking, but it could be things that have happened, like events, or somebody really being aggressive towards us, you know. Different reasons, but they all will eventually physicalize. Okay. And so with that, we want to undo the effects of this physicalization and unwind it so that our current state is what's actually physicalizing, right? So we're going to start with the oil that you chose out of the grouping I gave you. And you're going to begin inhaling with your awareness on your palms. And then move to your wrists. Then your elbows. The armpits. The shoulder minors. The tops of the shoulders, which is like right up here, like right where the arm and the shoulder kind of meet, like right up here. Continue to inhale. Now we're going to move in, like if you look at the camera, like look at me, you're going to follow your collarbones into about like right here on each side, right? It's where your breastbone and your collarbone kind of meet up. So it's just off to the side on both sides. Okay, put your awareness there. Start taking long, slow, deep breaths.
What are we calling that?
Clavicle minor. Okay, now move to the throat minor, which is at the base of the throat in between the two clavicles, the two collarbones, right here at the base of the throat. Move your awareness up to the throat. Go to your back throat. And then the bottom of your tailbone, known as the basic chakra. Okay, just let it go for a moment. Just be still. Keep your eyes closed. We're going to cycle through that again. So again, your awareness is on the palms of your hands. Your awareness is on your wrists, front and back wrists. The elbows. The armpits. The shoulder minors, again, on the front where the chest and the arm and the shoulder meet. That little crease right here, right in the middle. The top of the shoulder, again, right here, where the shoulder and arm meet. And now let's follow the clavicle in, the collarbone, to that little spot that's just off, about 2 fingers off from the midline. Right about there, if you can see it. Right about there. On both sides. If you're not sure, just get into that general area. That will work. Now your throat minor, the bottom of your throat. The throat itself, the throat chakra, right in the middle of the throat. And the bottom of the tailbone, the basic chakra. Just be still, be aware. So we're going to use the same oil, but now for the legs. So begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the sex chakra, where the sex organs are. Now you could go to the perineum, or also known as the perineum, which is the area between the sex organ and the anus. It's the bottom of the pelvis, the floor of the pelvis. So again, between the sex organs and the anus, like just there at the very bottom of your pelvic floor. Put your awareness there. There's a minor chakra there. Move your awareness to the basic chakra, the bottom of the tailbone. Put your awareness on the hips, the dimples and the butt cheeks. Keep your awareness there on the hips. Move your awareness to the knees, below the kneecap and the crease in the knee on the backside. Go to your ankles, the front of the ankle, right where the ankle bends. The soles of your feet. And move your awareness to the back solar plexus, which is the mid back, your mid back area. Continue on the mid back. Just be still, be aware. Just let everything go. Keep your eyes closed. Okay, again, begin inhaling. Your awareness is on the sex chakra, the area of the sex organs. Put your awareness on the perineum, also known as the perineum, the floor of the pelvis. Go to the tailbone, the bottom of the tailbone. Go to your hips. Your knees, the front and back of your knees, the crease on the back side, and below your kneecap on the front. Go to your ankles. On Facebook, the time is misspelled. It has a 6 in it instead of a Y.
Oh.
And then it says citrate instead of citral. So if you could change that on the Facebook. Your awareness is on your ankles. It's under anabolic state. The soles of your feet. And now your back solar plexus. Long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on your back solar plexus. You're still on your back solar plexus, taking long, slow, deep breaths. A lot of the body tension comes from the back solar plexus. Okay, just be still, be aware, just let go. Keep your eyes closed and just completely let go. Okay, the last application we're going to do is for the anabolic state of the sleep memory class. So if you could pull out, if you have ginger or cedar, any sort of cedar will work. Also thyme citral, but I doubt you have the thyme citral. There is a blend, trigger point blend would also work.
Any that are preferred as best choice?
No, they all work pretty good. Yeah. There's another blend that works called Restful Sleep. That would also work for this.
Yep, he said any cedar.
Yeah, any cedar will work. Okay, so you're going to begin inhaling. Your awareness is on your brain. Both sides, the right side, the left side, front, middle, back. Move your awareness to the lungs. Your liver, right hand side below your ribs. Move a little bit more to the midline, still under your ribs, like about here. Off center a little bit. The inner part of the liver area, which will impact also the gallbladder. Long, slow, deep breaths. Move your awareness down to the kidneys. Your spleen, which is on the left-hand side below the ribs. Your navel. An inch and a half below your navel. The bottom of your tailbone. Just be still, be aware, just let go for a moment. Just be still. Begin inhaling again, the same oil. Your awareness is on your brain, the right side and the left side of your brain. Move down to your lungs. to your liver, the right side below the ribs. A gallbladder, which is a little bit more to the midline, still off center, still below the ribs. Just get it in that general area. Drop down to your kidneys. Your kidneys, your awareness is on your kidneys. Move your awareness to the spleen on the left-hand side below the ribs. Drop down to your navel. An inch and a half below your navel. And the bottom of your tailbone, the basic. Just let go of everything, just let go. Now check in to see how you feel. Now, this can be used as a general treatment for any autoimmune disorder. Then from there, as the body starts to get better, then you can start treating the individual symptoms. But the issue with just going after the symptoms with an autoimmune disorder, you end up just chasing your tail a lot, because you're dealing with a dysfunctional immune system. And so with this, you're trying to regulate the immune system and then later troubleshoot whatever problems are still presenting, right? And so this also has an impact on your mood. If you have lots of moods where you feel down in the dumps, not really depression, but just, mood shifts that are hard to get out of, then it is usually an immune issue, and you can use this to get out of it. So with that, let's hear experiences and/or questions.
How often can we do this protocol?
You could do this 3 or 4 times a week. I mean, honestly, if you really had a serious issue, you could do it daily.
Can it work with any autoimmune disease?
Yes, it works with any autoimmune disease. Yeah. Which are becoming more and more common these days.
Yeah, go ahead. It's unmuted, so you can share.
Yeah, go ahead and fire away.
Hey, Greg, this is Tracy.
Tracy and Birmingham.
In Birmingham. Hey, what's the best oil? This is not about this class, but what's the best oil for a weather headache?
A weather headache. Oh, I don't know. Where does it present at?
It's like barometric pressure, kind of like my head feels like it's squeezing, especially between my eyes and
your head feels like it's squeezing, like it feels like deep in the head.
Yeah, in the whole head, in my teeth, like yeah. You can tell you're coming to town. The weather's here.
Yeah. Actually, this is a weird one. I wouldn't have thought this. I would probably say I would start with frankincense. And okay. I would do inhalations, but I'd put a couple of drops in water. I would just try it right off the bat. I'm not sure how well it's going to work, but one of the things that it does is it makes you less hyper-reactive to things in the environment. And it looks like the respiratory tract and the blood pressure are getting impacted with like what you call a weather headache.
Okay. Thank you.
It would make you just a little bit less, your body like a little bit less reactive. It would work better if you did it daily for like 30 days, but like you could use it in the middle of a crisis,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so. And I'll see you next week.
Yeah, this week actually.
Yeah, three more days, yeah.
Hey, is frankincense supreme okay to
yeah, that looks great. Yeah, it looks great.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple more new frankincenses that are coming that are real super exotic frankincenses. So they won't be here until the middle of November, but.
Exotic like in price or exotic like in?
No. I don't think the prices will be too much more than what we have, but they're kind of rare, and one's used for practically the only thing they use it for is like ceremony. And then another one is, what did it do? I'll have to look it up. I'll give you guys information when it comes out, but they're really super hard to find frankincenses. Yeah, I tracked some down in Africa, so.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Laura, your hand is raised.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, how are you? I
I'm doing
have two questions. The first one was related to what you just said with the frankincense, because I've been having terrible sinus headaches. Would frankincense?
Yeah, frankincense will help you be non-reactive to things in the environment. But with a sinus headache, a lot of that is actually not just your sinuses, but the muscles in your neck will refer pain to the sinus area. And so it's affiliated with a sinus headache, because usually when the nose is stopped up, or if there's a lot of inflammation in the sinuses, you're having to work harder to breathe. And it actually, the sternocleidomastoid actually becomes tightened up, and it will cause a referred pain pattern that is pain in the ear, pain around the eyes, pain above the sinuses. And
Exactly.
so you wanna kind of treat both. You know, you want to reduce any potential sinus pain, which, like with that, rosemary and basil usually hit it pretty good. Rosemary verbenan, but the way to take long, slow, deep breaths with hyssop will usually knock that other out. If that's not working, there is some fancier oils that we could use. One is called Ami Visnaga, and another one is Anula. And they will help loosen the diaphragm and loosen the muscles in the neck to a much higher degree. But usually people have hyssop in their kit, and hyssop will usually knock it out, to be honest with you. So
Perfect.
I usually don't tell people to go exotic until other things just aren't working. I would really hit the hyssop kind of hard, like just long, slow, deep breaths, 15 to 20 breaths, and then let it go. And you can do that 3 or 4 times a day. Easy.
Excellent. One more
Yeah.
question, and I may have missed it because I was trying to find something at the time. I know that this tonight was about strengthening the autoimmune system. Could it also help strengthen our immune system?
Well, the difference is you're actually trying to regulate the immune system. When it becomes autoimmune, it's the immune system is attacking the body.
Okay.
And so it would have an impact on strengthening the immune system. I mean, I do this protocol on myself, and I don't have an autoimmune issue, but I do it just to keep the immune system regulated, and it makes me feel calmer and more peaceful, you know, because there is a type of anxiety that can come from the immune system. When the immune system is hypervigilant, it causes anxiety. And so you could do that, but you know, if you're just wanting to strengthen the immune system, you know, there's the stuff that we did in the etheric healing class. That whole day, you know, is about strengthening the immune system. But even just the use of like thyme or monarda or cinnamon, you know, anything like that will strengthen the immune system quite substantially.
Great.
Yeah.
How often do you do that?
Well, it depends on the person, right?
Well,
And
you
so-
said you do it. You said you
um,
do it.
Like this one, this particular protocol, I probably do once every maybe about 2 months.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't do it often, but if I'm starting to feel a little wound up and having a hard time sleeping, a lot of times it's my immune system. And so I'll go through and unwind the immune system, and then I start sleeping like a baby. And so one of the things that we never take into account is for insomnia, one of the triggers for insomnia is actually allergies. You know, when your body starts to become allergic, your body is starting to fend off, you know, pollens, but it also perceives things that are not pollens as pollens. So it's starting to cross over into that autoimmune realm, even though it's not quite an autoimmune response. Chronic allergies or just hypervigilant allergic response, it's starting to go in that direction. It's a sensitivity that, if not treated, can actually turn into an inflammatory condition. And so anytime I start to have a bit of anxiety or insomnia, I usually treat the immune system right off the bat. Almost every time it knocks it out, and I start sleeping better.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, anxiety and sleep issues can be a whole bunch of other things, but I know for myself, a lot of times it's immunity related.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Go ahead, Jenny.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, Greg. Hey, Sam. I have a quick question. I just
yeah,
noticed
fire away.
somebody mentioned they were hot, and I was telling Sam that I just got super cold, and it is a pattern that I'm seeing that's changed since the last several weeks, where I do various protocols
Uh-huh.
in different classes, and now
Mhm.
I feel like a popsicle. And
A
I've got
popsicle. Yeah, that could be
Cold.
your body shifting around. It could be the solar plexus. It also could be the hypothalamus, which is a gland up in the head, and both will regulate the hot and the cold in the body. And so sometimes what happens is if you've been running a little excessively hot, you'll kind of swing the other direction for a little bit before you hit center. And so you know, spiritual energy when it comes in tends to make the body cooler. And then if Kundalini is going up, it tends to make the body a little warmer. And so, you know, sometimes when you're doing meditation, you'll have one or the other. It's just a little bit of the way that your body is leaning, but it should regulate in a little bit. It shouldn't last very long.
I'm definitely not worried. I'm just definitely curious. I noticed it's such a huge.
It's probably your, I'm going to guess your hypothalamus is probably getting a little bit re-educated and going back to normal function. You know, it's a thing that like as we go through life, our hypothalamus keeps getting a little bit farther and farther from its center of, you know, where it should be in its performance. And so after a period of time, it's just drifted too far away from you know, the dock. You know, if you're in a boat, you get a little too far away. And so that a lot of times will start to manifest as endocrine issues, like a thyroid issue or, you know, adrenal issue, something like that. And so it's good to go through and re-educate the hypothalamus from time to time. And a lot of what we do hits the hypothalamus a lot. And so my guess is it's probably hypothalamus related.
Well, I think that definitely resonates, but
yeah,
I'm definitely getting rewired on all aspects,
yeah.
for sure.
I mean, you've been doing a lot of the classes, so I mean, you're doing a lot of brain work. You know, there's a ton of brain work in all of this stuff.
Yeah, and things are starting to work on so many levels.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay. Really quick question, a follow-up question. Do I want Kundalini rising, or it's okay to experience this cold?
Both would still be happening. So for Kundalini to activate appropriately, there needs to be the descent of divine energy and then the Kundalini going up. And so sometimes what happens is one becomes a little excessive and the channels take a little bit to balance. And so that it's cool. I mean, you're in, that's good company. Like that's a good place to be.
Thank you so much.
That's easier to deal with than when the Kundalini gets a little overactivated and you start running real hot. That's a little bit harder. Yeah, that's a little harder to handle. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Greg.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Hey, I'm glad to hear about the job stuff, by the way.
Yeah. Another
good
one.
for you. Yeah, that's what I heard.
All right. Love you both.
Good for you. We love you too. Take care.
Go ahead, Catherine.
Hey, Catherine.
Jump in if you want to. Someone just said a friend of mine had COVID and recently and is now fighting severe GERD and UTI issues. Is there essential oils and patterns that can help?
Boy, GERD. And it's a byproduct of COVID.
Hey, Greg, yeah, this is Balaji. Yes, that's what I heard from them. Yes.
Hey, Balaji. Boy. Why don't you email us the name so I can look at that person? Because I mean, you know, I have some things that I'd start playing with right off the bat, but that it's a byproduct of COVID. It's kind of like the rules almost get thrown out and we have to evaluate the person a little bit.
Okay, great.
So
Okay.
send the info and I'll try to get on that here in the next 24 hours.
Wait, just the name of the person?
Yeah, just the name and just say what it is, the GERD and, you know, post-COVID,
Okay.
they have, you know, their symptoms.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the COVID just wreaks havoc. I mean, I know this one person, you know, she had it like back in August and she's still dealing with difficulties from the COVID even now, and it's, you know, what's that, 2 months, 2.5 months? And so, yeah, it's pretty nasty.
Okay, will do. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I have a question about thyroid issues. I take medication for it, a low dose, but would like to stop. Would this help? This
probably wouldn't help, to be honest with you. We are going to tackle endocrine issues in one of the study groups, and with endocrine issues, I like to treat the whole endocrine system and then target the specific gland itself. And so it's a little bit more complicated than just like what oil to use. And so we'll probably cover it in like about 2 or 3 weeks, if that's okay. And so, you know, it's something that's not a quick fix. You need to treat something for a little while. And then, you know, you can start looking at your medications and you know, how much you need your medications. But we are going to try tackling that here shortly. So.
My sister got C. diff after having multiple intestinal surgeries this year. What would help? She's under medical care, but she also has had PTSD from other life situations.
Yeah, that's a complicated situation. Like, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, there's some situations where you don't go in with a preconceived idea. You need to go in and evaluate the person. This would be one of those situations. I mean, the PTSD, you could just start with the basic PTSD, you know, protocols that we have in place. After that, we'd have to start unwinding some of the health issues. You know, unfortunately, there's no quick, easy answer for that one. Yeah.
Someone said I feel drunk. Another said my body is super hot.
Yeah.
And other than that, if you have another question, you can unmute real quick. We have a couple minutes.
I still have a couple minutes before my next meeting, actually.
Greg, hi, this is Letty. I have a quick question.
Hey, Letty, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good, good.
Just had a quick question. I know you had mentioned that you had gotten shingles. What did you end up doing?
So, and I gotta say, I was able to make it go away like really, really quickly. So what we did was, because like a week ago, I had shingles so bad that we were gonna have to probably cancel the next couple of classes because my face was covered in shingles, like my whole, you can see where I have these scabs. And it went down my cheek and down my neck, and the blisters were quite substantial. And so what we ended up doing was I took 4 tablets of L-lysine 2 to 3 times a day. And then I took Melissa, the essential oil of Melissa, 2 to 3 times a day, like a couple of drops in water. And I alternated that with St. John's wort, 2 to 3 drops in water 2 or 3 times a day. And then I put neem oil, like a neem salve, on the blisters. And within, you know, the condition can last anywhere from a few weeks to like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I mean, it could be quite substantial. But within 3 days, I'd say the symptoms were reduced by about 70%, which is like crazy. I didn't even expect it to get that good that quick. And so, you know, it felt like also like somebody had punched me in the jaw over here, like all the muscles and everything were sore. You know, the nerve pain is really bad with shingles. And that reduced it all quite substantially.
Okay, thank you. Because my assistant had gotten it, I think, over, the summer break before we started school. But of course, you know, we were on summer vacation and I hadn't really talked to him till.
Right.
And so I just thought a good idea, because I think he's kind of a little bit worried or scared that he might get it again.
So prevention would be, if he just wants to do prevention, do the L-lysine, like probably 2 or 3 tablets a day. That will probably prevent it from coming around. He doesn't need to do all the other stuff. He can just do the L-lysine.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Catherine Corson.
I'm sorry.
You didn't mean to unmute.
Hey, Catherine.
All right, that's it.
Okay, you guys, so next week, this question comes up a lot. Chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia. We're going to talk about protocols for chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia next week. So we're trying to tackle some of the bigger ones that you guys talk about. And that one's pretty high up on the list. So we're going to tackle that and have you a set of protocols to go through and treat that. Okay, so next week we'll tackle that. And then the week after that, we're going to try to shoot for some endocrine conditions. So I will talk to you next week. Some of you I'll be seeing and talking to on the weekend for the Science of Synchronicity this weekend.